Do you have a weird story? I mean, there's the fucking riots and shit, which it's not Corona at least, but
It isn't Corona. It took the murder bees out of the news too.
oh yeah. Well, those weren't really real. There's like 10 of them up in Seattle, and that was it.
I don't know. I wasn't worried about them.
No, it seemed
If they're
ridiculous.
as big as they look, I mean, I grew up in Ohio whacking lightning bugs with wiffle ball bats, so I can handle big ass bees.
Cicadas. This is 17 years for cicadas.
Seems like last year was 17 years for cicadas too. Seems like every year there's cicadas.
Well, there's small. There are small like little bursts of cicadas, but the 17 is the where they cover everything for like a week, and then they make pizza and shit out of them. So yeah, cicadas are coming. Yay! For those of you guys who don't know what cicadas are, they're little bugs that are they cling on to every single surface. Then they shed their skin, and their skin is nice and crunchy, and it crunches like leaves everywhere.
My aunt and uncle live in Pittsburgh, and their old house had a big tree up front that would always have cicadas in the summertime.
Yeah.
Me and my cousins used to get their shed skin things and play with them.
And like I think most people know what cicadas sound like. Like they sound like militant crickets. They're that heavy cricket sound that you hear at night.
When you're outside and have to yell at somebody to be able to hear them, you're yelling over cicadas.
Right, and you have to do that every 17
deafening.
years. In what? Where do you know where they stretch to? Like what the cicada 17-year area is? It's not all of America, right? I don't think so.
I have no idea. I know they get them in Pittsburgh.
I think it's
Probably
all
that whole Northeast, Midwest. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's maybe Missouri east
If we
and
cared, we could
Alabama
look it up.
north, or not Alabama, north of Alabama. We could. I don't really care. Yeah. How's your week been, Scott?
Oh, it's been great watching videos of fucking cop cars burning and shit.
Yeah, there's violence going on. We don't condone violence because that's illegal.
I mean, we've never really concerned ourselves with what's legal and not in the past, so.
I always do. I'm always lawful. Every single time. Every single second.
Sure.
Lawful.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, so there's riots going on. George Floyd got killed by a police officer. It is so because of the numbers and because of the statistics, it is a black guy, white cop issue in this circumstance, but more than that, it is also a heavy-handed authoritarian.
Weren't there also 2 Asian cops there, though, too?
Yes. But neither of them killed him. Well, I think there was one Asian cop.
One of them was sitting on him, yeah.
But they didn't do the neck
Just
thing.
looking at the names.
So,
because you only see the back of the 2 other guys that are sitting on George Floyd. But going by the names, there were 2 Asian-sounding names in that.
maybe. I know I saw that, in the pictures, that there's that one Asian cop that also needs to be arrested and tried for first-degree murder. But I think that, what's his name? Chauvin? Derek Chauvin? Is that his name?
Is that the main guy's name?
Yeah. I'm asking, is it? Do you know? It's something like that. It's CHO.
That sounds right.
CHAUVIN. Anyway, so he's definitely the most complicit in this. As George was laying there saying, "I can't breathe, you're killing me," that motherfucker was saying, "Calm down." And turns out George calmed way the fuck down.
I read killed a Native American guy like 10 years ago too.
And
has had like 18 complaints filed against him.
Yeah. That guy is
a badge.
That guy is a problem. And has been a problem for a while. And I am very glad that he got fired immediately. That was a good call. I'm glad he got charged. It's not hard enough. It's not fast enough. They are not charging the other people fucking fast enough. And
it's sad that we have to say if he's convicted. He's on video killing somebody, but because he has a shiny tin badge, he probably won't get convicted. And if he
Because
does, he won't see the same sentence you or I would.
no, because of the policemen's union.
Justice would have been feeding him to the mob outside his house.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, that's the other thing. The reason that he wasn't was because he was surrounded by cops. His house was fucking surrounded by his ex-brothers in blue, fucking protecting him. Instead
well, the protesters got there first.
Right,
the
and
protesters got there before the cops did.
Did they? I didn't.
I saw one thing. He was ordering food from Grubhub, DoorDash, whatever.
Yeah.
And all the protesters were stopping the food delivery guys and telling them who they're delivering food to. And like 3 different times, the guy delivering the food went, "Nope, fuck that guy," and turned around and left.
Yep. Good. That guy doesn't need any more services for anything. Fuck that dude. Anyway, that's the world we're living in now. So this handbasket is comfortable, right? It's getting warmer, but yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. It seems like we're picking up some speed too.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Like, wow. Happy news. So, I got a new setup a little bit. You probably can't tell, but I got a new computer. So hopefully this whole enterprise we're trying to conduct is a lot better. Oh, today, as we speak, our website is down. I'm getting it fixed. It's a hassle. And I am grateful for the wonderful help that I'm getting.
It's super easy to deal with and stress-free too, right?
It doesn't suck at all. I'm glad that this service is there. Yeah, yay. So you'll be able to, you can still.
What is that website that's down?
HigherMindsPodcast.com.
And that would make us the Higher Minds Podcast then, right?
That would make us the Higher Minds Podcast. I am Papa Darby.
And I'm Scott.
What up, y'all? Katie's not here with us today because she is... What is she doing, Scott?
Are we going with what she's actually doing, or are we making up shit?
I don't know. You
Because I assume you were making up shit for me when I was gone, so...
No. We told him what you were doing. We were entirely truthful.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she asked me if I listened to those, and I said I only listen to them if I cut them, so no.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they're recorded, and if I don't have to do anything else with them, I don't listen to them.
Yeah, so yeah, we told the truth with everything.
Yeah.
We're glad you're feeling better.
Katie is in the hospital giving birth to twins today. So
Congratulations, Katie. That was a short pregnancy.
My apologies, Katie's baby daddy.
Yeah.
That shit's gonna get wrecked.
Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, that was a short pregnancy though, wasn't it? I mean, last week she wasn't.
I mean, when you got 2, they get done in half the time, right? That's how that works.
That's how that works. And I mean, she had 2 before, okay. So it's 4 times the time. Pause.
Are you doing math?
No. Yeah, so since it's 4 times the time, or 4 kids, it's 4 times the time. So yeah, I think her pregnancy lasted 4 days. It's pretty impressive to cook a couple kids.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're still a little squishy when they come out, so they're not all the way cooked.
Yeah, that's true. So today, this was I think I'm the one that suggested this. I think maybe one of us suggested this a long time ago, but this is about a man that I kind of think we did. But we wanted to honor an extremely interesting man today that both Scott and I hold in high regard.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not the guy in the beer commercials, but he's for sure one of the most interesting men in the world.
For sure. And we've got a few of his stories about why he's interesting and the obstacles that he had to overcome. Not not terribly unlike some of the obstacles that we're facing today. All right. Now, all right. And we're back. Horatio Sands. Right? Did you ever watch that skit where he was the DJ?
Who was the DJ?
Horatio Sands on SNL. You know Horatio Sands. He was one of the good ones, wasn't he?
Was he? I don't recognize the name.
I didn't like him, actually. So that's why I think you probably like him, because I didn't really like Farley either.
Yeah, that was when SNL was good.
David
Farley
Spade.
And
I didn't really.
and shit.
Sandler was funny to a kid. Sandler's not funny anymore.
And I was a kid when they were on TV, so.
Yeah. Anyway.
You old fuck.
Do you remember Sandler's albums? At a medium pace?
Like, real popular when I was in like elementary school and shit.
I was in
the fucking Lunch Lady song and stuff.
Lunch Lady. Do you remember At a Medium Pace?
I have no idea. If I heard it, maybe. It's been 20 some odd years since I've heard that shit.
I hope this isn't a copyright infringement, but he talks about how's it go? Now get that shampoo bottle and put it in my ass at a medium pace. You don't remember that one?
Not at all.
Tell me about how your ex-boyfriend's dick is huge or some shit like that. Yeah, it was a fucked up song.
You always got dick on the mind, don't you?
Sandler did,
just
but
all day. Dick.
Yeah. Dick, cock, penis. Yeah.
Schlong.
You remember Mr. Garrison writing his erotic novel? What was that? Forest of the Schlongs or some shit? The Whispering Dick? I forget.
I just saw one the other day. It was Gilbert Gottfried reading out of 50 Shades of Grey.
That's gotta be fucking hot. Oh, man.
It was amazing.
And then he took her by the throat. Yeah. Gilbert Gottfried.
Not your worst impression, I'll give you that.
No, I do a spot on Gilbert Gottfried. Oh, yeah! That's hot! That's good. Anyway, so, of whom do we speak today, Mr. Scott? Mr. Shackelford?
I asked you first.
When did you ask me? Did you ask me?
As you were asking me.
Oh.
Like a split second before.
Oh. A Mr. E.P. Worrell.
Yeah. Mr. Worrell. I'll go ahead and kick this one off.
Yeah. Tell us about his tributes
Mr.
and tribulations.
Worrell is a
triumphs and tribulations.
U.S. Army veteran. Worrell enlisted in the Army and was stationed in Georgia.
Thank you for your service.
While in the Army, he worked primarily as a truck driver.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. He was a
President
driver
Almar,
in my stories, too.
Was he?
Yeah.
I mean, once you're a trucker, you're kind of always a trucker. I used to drive truck.
You're not a
I could
trucker.
still if I wanted to.
But right now, you're not a trucker. You're a podcaster, which is worse.
I mean, I'm not an essential employee. So.
No. Podcasters are like the worst of the worst. Like, much respect for garbage men. Very, very important job, but like garbage men,
cops,
podcasters.
Politicians, podcasters.
Just above. Not much. We're pretty slimy people too.
So while he was in, President Almar Habib Tafudi,
yeah, your
kind
face.
Of a lesser known. What?
What did you say?
Tafudi, my face.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
President Almar Habib Tafudi. I'm probably butchering that shit, as I do with most names. He's kind of a lesser-known Middle Eastern dictator back in the day. At that time, he was going village to village, taking men and boys and making them fight in his army and shit. There were also rumors and satellite images suggesting Tafudi might have had ICBM missiles, which is redundant because the M is missiles. That was bad note taking on my end. That's like saying PIN number. That shit drives me nuts.
I've never thought of PIN number, but I always notice those redundancies in acronyms too. It's funny.
Yeah. Having working in the car industry for years, it drives me insane when people say VIN number. The N is number. It's not a vehicle identification number.
Except for when it is.
Okay. So yeah,
Anyway.
Tafuti might have received ICBMs from the Soviets at this time too. Worrell's unit was selected to aid a UN peacekeeping force and were sent to Korifistan under the command of Colonel Bradley Gullett. American newspaper reporter Cindy Swanson was in Korifistan.
I used to read her articles. She was very good.
One of those stand countries over there.
Right. But who was that reporter's name?
Investigating Cindy Swanson.
Did you ever read her articles? She was really good. She was very poignant.
I think this was a little bit before my time, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, if you get a chance,
I'd have been maybe a little kid.
Even her analysis of the events on the world stage back then do resonate in the world today.
So she was in Korifistan investigating the possibility of Tafuti having the ICBMs. She was subsequently discovered and captured. Turns out blonde women don't really blend in the Middle East. Who knew?
Not much.
Worrell was among those sent to scout the area for the UN suspected... Let me start that over. Worrell was among those sent to scout the area the UN suspected Tafuti was holding Swanson captive. They spotted Swanson while she was being moved from one tent to another. The unit radioed in and reported their findings and asked permission to go in and get her, as it didn't seem like it was very heavily armed at that camp where they found her at. They were ordered to stand down by the UN, though. Worrell and a few others kind of went full-on American and led a rescue mission anyways, against the orders of the UN, because no UN blue hat wearing son of a bitch is going to tell American Army what to do.
Was he a SEAL or anything? Worrell?
SEALs or Navy.
Oh, Army. I'm sorry, Beret? Was he a Ranger or anything? Was he was Special Forces, wasn't he? Is what I'm getting at.
This sounds like a Special Forces thing. I didn't dig that far into this because there's so much on the guy.
So, like...
Army has Special Forces, so he might have been part of that or some shit.
So, like, if we were to compare this to a more familiar story, like in the A-Team, it's fiction, yes, but they were ex-soldiers. So he would be B.A. Barack, right? Or B.A. Baraka? Is that his name? Mr. T. Worrell would be Mr. T in this situation.
Baraka's the dude from Street Fighter, I'm pretty sure.
What's his last name in that? That is something I care about. No, that's the actor's name.
No matter what he's in, he's just Mr. T, though.
Yeah. I mean, even now. B.A. Baracus.
Baracus. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Baraka is like the monster guy from Street Fighter, I think.
So for you listeners at home, think E.P. Worrell as like a Mr. T character.
Yeah. Probably didn't have a mohawk though. I'm guessing he probably had regulation haircut while he was in the army.
Probably. I mean, so did Mr. T. He only got that afterwards.
Probably less gold chains too. And he was a white guy. But other than that, he was just like Mr. T.
Yeah. Yes.
So Worrell went in, found Swanson and a kid named Ben Ali, one of the child soldiers that had been taken from one of the surrounding towns there.
Horrible, horrible stories. That's so sad.
Someone in the camp managed to send a distress call out, and Tafuti sent in an armored division as sort of a backup to clear out the Americans and the UNs that were invading his camp and taking the stolen reporter person. The UN refused to send in reinforcements as the area was deemed too hot, and they were already disobeying orders, so fuck the UN. With a small head start on the armored division, they made a break for it straight back to the forward operating base in hopes that if they drew the tanks in close enough, the operating base would have to fucking do something about it. They ended up leading Tafuti's armor through their own minefield, slowing them down enough to get far enough away for the reinforcements to come in as they hoped they would. For rescuing this reporter and the kid, Worrell reportedly got a, quote, a chest full of medals for his heroism.
So yes, thank you, Mr. Worrell, for your bravery. We appreciate you fighting for America and making the world a safer place.
Yeah, I think going in and rescuing a reporter behind enemy lines qualifies you as bad motherfucker status, right?
Genuine American hero. So this is obviously after he got back, or he was, I think he was honorably discharged after, I think he was only in for like 1 4-year stint.
Yeah, I think he only did 1 stint and then was honorably discharged.
Yeah. So when he got back, he was able to, find his first job, as a janitor. I was wrong. He later became another driver. In this case, he's a janitor. So he found his job as a janitor at Oscar Pendle-Smith's bank. He was trying to work himself up to being a bank clerk. So one night, as he was attending to his janitorial duties in the bank, he had an accident with a floor buffer. So as the buffer he's sitting there messing with the floor buffer, and he's flicking it on and off, and it clearly says to not do that. And what happens is the buffer is struck with a surge of electricity. So as it's struck with that alert,
they must have capacitors or some shit in them that hold a charge.
Yeah. So yes, that's the only reason I can think of. Sorry, let me start again. So as the motors ramped up out of control, and as they did, they pulled a Worrell around the lobby, landing him in a pool of soapy water, leaving Worrell afflicted with a touch of magnetism, other than his charm, because he was a very charming guy. The ladies liked him. So a few days later, Worrell received a jury summons in the mail. At the jury meeting pool, whatever they do, he is assigned to the murder trial of Reuben Bartlett, accused of murdering a fellow inmate. He is known as a henchman for crime czar and bank robber Felix Nash. The state requested that the remaining 5 months in prison, that Reuben had in prison, is extended to life without parole. So, just to let you know, this Reuben motherfucker, he's a dumbass. He had 5 months left in prison. He kills somebody and risks life. So, that's that kind of guy.
I'm getting crime czar on the next batch of business cards I have made. That's a fucking cool title.
Okay. So, in the trial, the state requested. Oh, I already said that. They requested the life without parole. The defense claims that the untimely death of the inmate was an accident and that he fell of his own volition. They were saying that he made a mistake and he died. So during the trial, Reuben noticed that Worrell and Nash resemble each other, and so Reuben hatches a plan with Nash to switch places with him.
I saw pictures of this one, and they look like the same fucking guy. Like, it's uncanny how much they look alike.
They do. If you look at them in a different kind of angle, though, you can tell they're different people. They probably just had distant family or something. Yeah, one walk like this, the other one walk like this. They were different people.
The listeners can't see you popping around, but
they got it. They know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so after seeing after seeing that they resemble each other, Reuben and Nash hatch a plan to switch places. So because of this plan, the defense attorney requested the trial resume at the scene of the crime, which is the jail. Um, Finding that, or recognizing that the request is irregular, but it could be useful to the trial and to the jury, the judge grants that. So, unfortunately, while they're in prison, Nash and Rubin are able to switch places with Worrell. They planned it really well. Worrell's obviously an army vet. He knows what he's doing. Nash is just one of those bad guys that are super smart.
Yeah.
So, with Worrell in jail and Nash serving on the jury, Nash convinces the other juries to find Rubin not guilty. So, the dumbass who killed somebody with 5 months to go is now off. So, during Worrell's time in jail, he tries to escape multiple times. He cries out saying, "I'm not Nash, I'm Worrell. This is not me. Please let me go." But nobody, all prisoners say that. Nobody listens.
Shit you hear regularly. Yeah. I didn't do it. You got the wrong guy kind of shit.
I've heard that
No
1,000
prisoner
times.
is gonna listen to that.
I've said that before. So while Felix has assumed Worrell's identity, he obviously is a different guy. So he goes around and angers all of his friends, and he ends up getting him fired. Worrell is then informed by Nash's lawyer that his final appeal has been denied, and that he is to be put to death by electric chair. So, just like a lot of these poor souls in prison that are getting put to death, and they actually didn't do it, and they find out later that they got the wrong guy, same thing has happened to Mr. Worrell.
There's whole organizations set up to prevent shit like that.
There were, and I think
there's so many people in prison that are wrongfully there.
Yeah, and I think this was early 90s, 92, I think. But the organization was around then, but it wasn't nearly as strong or prevalent. Nobody really listened to them because back then, a prisoner got there because they made a mistake.
Right.
So, now, the thing is, the reason that I brought up the whole electric thing, the buffer thing before, is because
the floor buffer deal.
Yeah. So what happens is, it seems that the previous accident caused his body to be able to adapt to that amount of electricity, and instead of killing him, he is able to absorb and project the buildup of electrons in his body. And fortunately for him, he's able to use this.
Shocked yourself real good.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, that's a good.
There's something like weirdly enjoyable about getting electrocuted.
So Scott,
like you get that buzzy feeling.
I think that maybe you need to talk about some of your psychosexual issues. Being shocked, maybe one of them. Do you want to tell us about it?
Well, this one time I was working on a truck in the garage, and the drill had a shitty cord on it, and I zapped the fuck out of myself.
Did it bring you to orgasm?
Probably close.
Yeah.
You get that nice warm buzzy feeling all through you.
Did your mom used to dress you up as a girl and shock you and call you a dirty little girl?
I thought we were going to talk about the show.
Listeners, you didn't hear that. I didn't say that. And no, that didn't happen to him at all. For sure. Anyway, where was I? So anyway, he's able to absorb electrons and then project them out of his body. He uses this capability to be able to escape from prisons. Everything is iron and everything, so everything's magnetic or ferrous, and electricity can travel through it easily. So he escapes prison and confronts his imposter, Nash, while attempting to rob the bank at which he was formerly employed. So, of course, he got him fired and then, tries to rob the bank. So, but fortunately, the security guards employed at this bank installed an electrified trap system that turned out to be not fatal, but injurious to Nash, but beneficial to Worrell. So after some scuffle and after some time, Worrell is able to apprehend Nash, and he is then returned to jail, where he served out the rest of his sentence and eventually got executed.
So yay.
I did look into a little bit of what happened to him after his life in prison. Turns out he kind of turned into a prison bitch. He got raped a lot.
So he was smart enough to get out of jail, but not smart enough to keep cocks out of his ass.
I guess when there's enough people angry at you, they want to bang you. Yeah.
Which makes you wonder if that was happening before, and if Worrell got any of that, or was he able to fight him off with army training and shit?
Maybe. I mean, he was there before to write his own story, but afterwards he wasn't. So yeah. And that's okay. That is perfectly
so I'm gonna
okay.
go ahead and say that Worrell went ahead and I almost said beat off. Let's rephrase that to fought off rapists.
Oh, I'm sure. He was a badass. There was actually a story from his time in prison. He was actually almost able to fool one of the guards. He took a bar of soap and was able to carve it and fashion it into an AK-47. That would have worked had the barrel not melted a little bit and angled downward at the last second. So, I mean,
That's impressive.
He was a badass. He was talented. He obviously had new spy technique, spycraft.
I think it was John Dillinger got out of jail with a wooden pistol one time too. He had carved a little wooden gun.
Was that Dillinger? Yeah,
I think it was Dillinger.
That was the Public Enemies, right? What's his name played him? The pirate guy, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah,
I watched that recently, actually. Yeah, some of those prison escapes from those old bank robbers, like Bonnie and Clyde has a really good story too.
Who is the one that they had the mannequin head and they swept up hair from the barber shop? Do you remember? That was an Alcatraz escape, if I remember right.
There's only like 2 people, so from Alcatraz that escaped.
If I remember that one, it was 3 guys that made a raft out of rain jackets and escaped off the island.
Okay, that has
my jailbreak stories here.
I've heard that too, and I'm not sure. We should do a jailbreak show.
I was just thinking that.
Damn, I think that might be our next episode because those are good stories. All right. So Nash is in prison. He's getting butt love, and yeah. Another interesting story
after
from
Worrell
Hero
got out of prison. He was awarded a settlement for the wrongful imprisonment. This allowed him to kind of do whatever the fuck he wanted for a little while. So during this time, Worrell got into metal detecting, historic areas, and treasure hunting and shit like that. Amateur archaeologist type shit. He fancied himself an Indiana Jones kind of guy.
Having served in the Middle East, that makes sense.
You know, I didn't even put that together. You might be onto something there.
Yeah.
While metal detecting around a new construction site, Worrell found an old boomerang-shaped piece of metal. He took that piece of metal to a friend of his, Dr. Abner Mellon, who worked at a nearby university in the archaeology department, to take a look at it. Mellon cleaned it up some and found the number 314 on it. He believed it was part of a Revolutionary War era cannon, and took it to a colleague of his, Dr. Glencliffe, for a second opinion on it. Glencliffe, however, wasn't convinced that it was anything special. Worrell and Dr. Mellon returned to the construction site, where Worrell had found the piece of metal, and continued searching there with metal detectors and everything. They ended up finding a big goddamn cannonball. This thing is like beach ball size. It was fucking huge. According to Dr. Mellon,
That's why I walk funny.
The cannon got that pimp with a limp kind of thing going on.
Yeah. Can't sit down too fast.
Where the fuck was it? I found a big fucking cannonball. According to Dr. Mellon, a cannonball that size could only have been fired out of the legendary Goliath cannon.
Oh,
cannon that was...
Didn't they They just recently put one of those on the most recent aircraft carrier, didn't they?
I'm pretty sure they're not putting black powder cannons on aircraft carriers. Not in this century, at least.
What am I thinking about? It was on a ship, right? Ironside, old Ironside. Do you remember that ship from that war, from the Revolutionary War? Revolutionary? Yeah. No, 18. I don't know. That
I think the Ironsides were from the Civil War. I think
maybe it was Civil War. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Military history.
Where was I? According to Dr. Mellon, a cannonball that size could only have been fired from the legendary Goliath cannon, a cannon that was at the time the biggest cannon ever made. It was so big that most historians thought it was exaggerated in its proportions. One of those, it was a big ass cannon, and every time you retell the story, it gets a little bit bigger and a little bit longer and shit. So most historians at the time just wrote it off as a folktale, basically. Dr. Mellon, however, was pretty sure that's where this cannonball had come from, and estimated that the cannon with a ball that size would have a range of about 1,300 yards. After looking at after looking at the topography of the area, Worrell suggested that he thought the most likely place to set up a cannon of that size in that area was with the radius around 1,300 yards from where they found the cannonball. So they went up to the hillside that he thought might be where they would have shot it from. Dr. Mellon and Worrell went to the area and searched but didn't find anything. Worrell climbed up what he thought was a small hill to get a better vantage point and ended up falling into it. That hill turned out to be a over 200-year-old barn that had completely overgrown and had basically been reclaimed by the woods. So over the last 200 years, plant life had just overtaken this thing, and it looked like a hill from the outside now.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. Dr. Mellon was able to cut his way into it to rescue Worrell. Once it was opened up, enough light could get in. Worrell and Mellon could have a look around and actually found the Goliath cannon hidden inside of what used to be a barn 200 years ago. After checking it, they discovered that it was still loaded and even still had a fuse in the top of it. So it had been put away with the intentions of coming back out, and turns out it was never needed again and kind of forgotten. With some help, they were able to carefully get the cannon out of the barn hill thing, which ended up getting a big-ass grant for Dr. Mellon and his department at the college.
Cool. Man, this guy has lived an interesting life.
Right? Yeah, he's way fucking cooler than the beer guy, world's most interesting man.
I don't know any highlight EP World stories, though.
Yeah. And there's that other dude that, like, fought off a bear and made a knife out of frozen shit. I can't remember what the hell his name is.
Oh, that guy.
He's a big bad motherfucker.
Like, wasn't he out in the mountain, in the Rockies somewhere? He like he was wounded for some reason, and he ended up like keeping himself from losing his leg to gangrene by letting maggots eat at the sore.
That sounds like something that dude would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was German or Norwegian or some shit. I can't remember. He was some kind of European, I think.
Yeah. There's a person who knows how to do it will do a lot to save their life, like almost any old person, but there are definitely people that are more badass than others.
Yeah. Yeah, making a knife out of frozen shit to stab a bear to death. That's pretty fucking cool.
That's kind of mean. That's like killing somebody and then teabagging them.
Fucking Halo style.
Yeah. All right. So this is the although there are there are many more stories, and you can look up EP Worrell online and find. I mean, there's at least 10 stories. There was a TV show about him at one point, but we just picked out four of our.
Was on. It ran one season. You asked if I'd ever seen it. It premiered the year I was born. So no, I've never.
Seriously? I watched that live or as it aired. Wow. I love that show too.
Yeah, Worrell had done everything.
Like, yeah, he was even on TV. You're right. He was a TV star a little bit.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Scott and I picked out our four favorite stories, but I just want to let the audience know that there are many more. Please go check them out. So this one happened at Christmas in Orlando. He was driving as a taxi driver in Orlando, Florida. And one day on Christmas Eve, actually, he picks up a fare. The guy's name is Christopher K. So while driving Chris to his destination to see a man about a job, a young lady named Harmony, who she jumps into the car to get out from getting in trouble from skipping a bill at a restaurant. So I just want to point out this chick is the type to skip a bill or to eat and run, and her name is Harmony in Orlando. She probably doesn't have much of a future. Yeah, definitely a big future.
Definitely a stripper. Have you ever met a Harmony that wasn't a stripper?
I've never met a Harmony. Yeah. But
I gotta take you to a club.
I've been to a few strip clubs. Strip clubs just aren't my thing. Like, I've never dug them, ever. I've tried.
I had a roommate that was trying to date a stripper for a while. So whenever he went out to a bar, it was that club. So if I ever wanted to go drinking with my roommate, I had to go to that club. So I've spent more time than I would have liked to in a strip club.
I mean, it's to each his own, and there's nothing wrong with strippers. There's being a stripper. That's perfectly fine. The world needs them. God does too, I guess. But anyway, so that's who we're dealing with. But anyway, so the result of all of this is that Worrell gets fired because he took the girl in out of the goodness of his heart and let her ride without paying the fare. So the man that Chris went to go see, his name is Joe. And so while trying to convince Joe to replace Chris, that's why he came to see him at his job, Chris, lo and behold, claims to be Santa Claus. So out of concern for this old man, witnesses call
a guy named Chris in December claiming to be Santa. That's pretty likely.
I mean, yeah. And clearly, I mean, he was in a nice suit. He wasn't like, he looked like a doddering old man that was, I mean, he was very confused. And that's why the witnesses of this event called the authorities to come and take the old man away. But the authorities that came to take him away were the cops, and they ended up arresting him, booking him.
At least they didn't kill him, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's an old man. They have come and shot old men and killed them who needed help, and this was just an old man who needed help. But he But anyways, yeah. So they arrested him, booked him on like no charges. I looked him up. I didn't see any charges or what the thing was about. So in the midst of confusion,
so they were playing catch and release.
Yeah. So in the midst of the confusion, Christopher realized that he left his luggage, which is recovered by Worrell. Further complicating the matter, Chris's emotional support animals were lost in transit. He came through in an airplane, and he, I guess, shipped them in the luggage, however you do with your emotional support animals, and they got lost.
That would suck worse than having your suitcase get on the wrong damn plane. Having your emotional support animal get on the wrong damn plane.
Yeah. And these were, I mean, he had 12 of them. This was pre 9/11, so I guess you can have 12 emotional support animals. But they were kind of rare, exotic animals, and they did seem kind of attached to him. So anyway, so while trying to return Christopher's luggage, Worrell finds out that Chris has been put in jail. So he goes and he tries to get him out, and he eventually does. And between Worrell's charm and Chris's old grandfatherliness, he does convince the jailers to let him out. So Worrell reunites Chris with his luggage and his emotional support animals, which turned out to be reindeer, which was kind of weird. Not too many people have that.
So this
the paperwork must be
delirious old man claims to be Santa and has fucking reindeer.
12 of them that he ships through.
He's really fucking going for it.
Yeah, so that he ships through airplanes. Kind of a, why? But okay.
How big of a kennel do you need for a reindeer?
The entire North? But so Chris somehow convinces Joe to take the job. And in a brazen act of narcissism, Joe immediately takes credit for a fortunate change in the weather. It starts snowing on Christmas, and Joe is like, I did that. Joe seems like an asshole. But,
I mean, probably.
To the world, Worrell has saved Christmas. So yay. Another heroic act by this magnificent man.
So Worrell joined the army and went to prison and saved Christmas and all this shit. He's a fucking cool dude.
He is a cool dude. Yes, he did all that stuff. I think he was scared stupid at one point. He went to camp.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. He went to school too.
He did go to school.
Went to Africa once.
Yeah. And there's actually kind of a behind the scenes thing. He had a buddy that always came with him. His name was Vern.
I've heard of Vern. Yeah.
Yeah. He's never in the pictures, and I think he was the camera holder. Yeah. But
yeah, that's probably why you don't see pictures of Vern.
Yeah. But he was apparently very close friends with EP Worrell. Mr. Worrell.
What did EP stand for?
Actually, Ernest. P. I don't know what his middle name was.
Just P, apparently.
Do you know what his middle name was?
I don't.
I don't know if it is a middle name.
No, either. Yeah. Yeah, so Ernest P. Worrell.
Ernest P. Worrell. You might have heard of him.
That a lot of people our age probably heard of and don't even know it. I am not seeing that the P stands for anything. It's just a P.
So
like
it's
Homer J. Simpson.
Yeah, or Maynard's kid's middle name, which was H, as in Jesus H. Christ.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
Do you see what Elon Musk named his kid?
Wasn't it a set of characters?
Yeah, it's like fucking Greek letters or Latin letters or some shit.
And it was you couldn't pronounce it, right?
I read that it's supposed to be pronounced Kyle if you actually do it right. But there's an 18 in it too. In the state of California, you're not allowed to have a number in your name. So they changed it to the Roman numerals for 18.
My visceral reaction is not positive, but it's Elon Musk, so yeah, cool. Awesome. Get it.
As far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done wrong yet, so.
Ask his name. Ask his kid in 13 years if he did.
Well, yeah.
Name me a fucking ampersand.
A billionaire. So.
Anyway, I don't think Mr. Worrell and Musk knew each other, at least by that name. I think he believed he had an alias.
Ernest P. Worrell's alias.
Yes.
Like Jim Varney, maybe.
Jim Varney. We cannot do this episode without a huge shout out to Jim Varney, who, well, won't hear it. But yeah. If you guys haven't heard, got it yet, we're talking about the character Ernest P. Worrell, who was very influential to Scott and I as kids. More so me, I guess, since I was alive for some of it. Or all of it.
I've watched all of the movies at least once growing up.
Yeah, they're good.
But the TV show and the commercials and everything, that was before my time.
Oh, okay. So
we'd go to Blockbuster on a Friday night, and it was between an Ernest movie or an old black and white horror movie. That's what I got every single time I went to Blockbuster when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of Ernest. I wasn't into old horror black and white. I was into the books, but not really the movies. But yeah, yes. Doesn't matter. I was watching the Ernest Goes to Jail movie. And in all of his movies, he does a set of impersonations. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself as I'm watching this guy is fucking brilliant. Like, he's better than Robin Williams. That's a hard comparison.
One of, if not the best character actors ever.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. And it holds up. Even today, it holds his acting as a technique. And even the stories are kind of fun. And the jokes are still kind of funny. Mm-hmm. But his acting is still some of the best that I've seen in my entire life. Like, Jim Varney was an amazing talent.
And we were talking yesterday, I think it was, about all his facial expressions and shit. He was a rubber face that put guys like Jim Carrey to shame.
Jim Carrey was nothing. Is nothing compared to him.
No, the shit Varney could do with his face was goddamn impressive.
I mean, Jim Carrey's good. Very talented
voices
actor.
And characters and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He was... I can't choose... If Jim Varney ever got an adult role, I think maybe there would probably be a more serious comparison made. But I can't, honestly, as far as the impersonations, I can't decide who's better between him and Robin Williams. Arguably the best impersonator.
I saw a clip. It was Varney in character as Ernest P. Worrell hanging out with Robin Williams.
I saw a picture of that.
It seemed like Robin Williams was trying to impersonate Ernest. Like, because he's in character, he was just going with it in character. But Williams was turning it up to try to catch up with him, it seemed like.
Yeah. And they were contemporaries.
Was an established actor at that point, too.
Yeah. They were both contemporaries. I think they came up at the same time. But, like...
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from the amazing and wonderfully talented and artistic body of work that Jim Varney did, because what he did was absolutely wonderful and is some of the best art that's ever been produced. But I also would have liked to have seen what he could have done had he started taking, serious roles, and see what he could have done as an actor outside of the children's realm.
Yeah, because of the popularity of the Ernest P. Worrell character, he kind of got stuck in that kind of role.
Which, from what I understand, he liked. I think he went back and forth on. He didn't want to do that all the time, but, I mean, he made a lot of people happy, and he liked that.
And he did do other shit, too.
He did. He was in the Beverly Hillbillies as Jed Clampett, the remake, which wasn't good. He was the
voice of a Slinky Dog in Toy Story 2.
Yeah, the first two. I didn't realize that.
Toy Story and Toy Story 2.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that makes sense. And you can kind of hear the cause of his demise in Slinky's voice, if you want to cover that.
A little bit, yeah. I got a snippet on him from his Wikipedia here. Jim Varney was born James Albert Varney Jr., June 15th, 1949. American actor and comedian. He is best known for his comedic role as Ernest P. Worrell, appearing in numerous television commercial advertising campaigns, films, and a TV show that he won a Daytime Emmy Award for. As a child, he displayed the ability to memorize long poems and significant portions of the material from books, which he would use to entertain family and friends. When Barney was a boy, his mother would turn on cartoons for him to watch. His mother discovered that Barney quickly began to imitate the cartoon characters, so she started him in a children's theater class when he was 8 years old. Varney began his interest in theaters as a teenager, winning state titles in drama competitions while a student at Lafayette High School in Lexington, Kentucky. How do you win a championship for acting? Is that just who can make believe the best?
I don't know. I did go to choir competitions, but and I was in theater and stuff in school. I never acting competitions. I mean, there were one acts and little plays you would put on, but not in a competitive atmosphere. I don't think.
Yeah. I don't know how you compete at acting in high school.
I don't know.
The character of Ernest became widely popular and was the basis for a short-lived TV series, Hey Vern, It's Ernest.
Hey Vern,
which ran in 1988. There was also a series of movies in the 80s and 90s based on the character that we just told you 4 of those stories about.
Yep. Goes to Jail has always been my favorite, though.
Scared Stupid was my favorite.
Yeah.
Because it combined earnest and horror movies. So.
Yep.
He's credited with over 30 film appearances, plus the TV shows and the commercials, and he was a voice in 5 video games.
Oh, really?
Toy Story games. Yeah.
Oh, just the Toy Story games? Because I want to go play the other games.
I think it was 4 Toy Story games and a Disney Atlantis game or some shit.
The one with Michael J. Fox.
Maybe. I've never seen it.
Oh.
It came out after he died, but before he recorded audio for it before he died. That was his last project.
Sad.
On his death, Varney was a longtime chain smoker. During the filming of Treehouse Hostage in August of 1988, he developed a bad cough. At first, he presumed it was a bad cold caused by the changing climate in the area.
Did you say 88?
98.
Okay, I thought you said 88.
No.
All right.
That'd be a long damn time to
go
with this. Where the fuck was I? The cough became worse, and Varney began noticing blood in his handkerchief that he would cough into. When filming was complete, he sought medical treatment and was diagnosed with lung cancer. Though his condition slowly worsened, Varney reportedly quit smoking and continued to make movies. He eventually returned to Tennessee, where he underwent chemotherapy. However, he died on February 10th of 2000 at his home in White House, Tennessee, at the age of 50.
50 years old.
Irony of this is that as the Ernest character, he once recorded a anti-smoking PSA saying that if you don't quit smoking, you're going to get the big C.
I think I remember that, actually. Yeah. Sad. 50 years old. That's 10 years older than me. He should have stuck with the weed. It kills cancer.
Yeah. He was buried in Lexington Cemetery in Lexington, Kentucky, his hometown.
Our guest a couple weeks ago, Jake, is living in Kentucky right now, in Lexington.
Is he?
Yeah, I wonder if he wouldn't mind go taking some pictures
of a tombstone.
Yeah.
With a name carved in it.
Yeah.
That you could just look up and find on Google Images.
Yeah, except for not with Jake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throughout the Ernest commercials, the big thing was the whole Hey Vern thing.
Hey Vern.
and a lot of those were filmed with Ernest on the outside of the window talking to Vern while he was in his kitchen.
Yep.
This brings us to his last words, which you and I have a differing opinion on. His last words were, quote, "Please leave the window open," which I thought was a reference to his old Vern things,
which absolutely could be,
so that he could talk through the window. And you had a different theory on that I had never heard of, but makes equal sense too.
Well, it's a Jewish tradition. It's also a tradition in different countries and stuff. Just let the window open, leave the windows open, cover the mirrors to let the spirits out, the dead spirit out.
And I dug into it a little bit. I couldn't find anything on Jim Varney's religion. But like you said, that's a tradition in a couple countries too. I think I read Denmark and Sweden both do it too.
Yeah. So, but either way, it's touching, and it's horrible. It's so sad to think that there are actors out there still around like John Lithgow, and we had to lose Jim Varney. I'm sorry. I like John Lithgow too. I'm just joking.
That was good. Yeah. Yeah, we're stuck with people like that, and Jim Varney's gone. I had read once years ago that even though he was a chain smoker for most of his life, being a children's movie guy, he never once smoked in front of kids.
Yeah, no. I remember that. That was a point made. I remember upon his death, when I heard about his death, is that I think the news mentioned that or something. Even though he was a smoker, blah blah blah.
And I was a pack-a-day smoker for 10 years. Like, I'm not going to sit on a high horse and say don't smoke, but I mean,
well, don't smoke. I mean,
obviously,
smoking is bad for you.
It fucking kills people. It doesn't kill everybody that smokes, but
no,
it kills a lot of people.
COVID kills more people.
On that subject, I just heard earlier this week that the U.S. hit 100,000 deaths from COVID.
Yep, that's what it said.
If you do the math on that, that's 0.03% of the U.S. population.
That is not a lot. Except that it is for those people. Yes. It
sucks for those people. Everybody's going to die of something someday.
Yes. But like, you weren't around for this one, but like the point that we made, syphilis has a death rate of at least 8%. If untreated, it's 50-some%. So that's the disease that the CDC was actually infecting people intentionally without letting them know and without their consent, was way more deadly than what is going on now. Thank you, CDC.
You guys covered it's based on the name of it now. Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah.
I'm taking.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. Horrible chapter that actually Jim Varney was alive for most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, he was born in 49, I think it was. So.
Yeah. So yeah, America. Things are going great. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. That's about all I got. You got anything else?
That wraps up what I had here.
All right. Well, if you want to talk to us, where can you do that?
You can find us on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Twitter.
On Twitter.
Instagram.
And Instagram.
You can email us directly at hiremindspodcast@gmail.com.
We will get them at hiremindspodcast@gmail.com.
And most of the time we have a website. What's our website?
God damn it. It's Higher Minds Podcast at hiremindspodcast.com. Right now it's not working. By the time you hear this, it'll be working.
Hopefully.
Be fucking working. SoundCloud is working. So the thing is, our SoundCloud is our website is connected to the SoundCloud. So when we upload to SoundCloud, it goes to our website, and then from our website, it goes to like iTunes and other stuff. But also from SoundCloud, it goes to other stuff. So we'll be able to. You could still right now listen to us on like half of the things that we're on. Anyway, so this has been the Higher Minds podcast. I'm Vern.
It has. Hey, Vern.
Hey, Vern.
I'm Scott.